Today we are tackling one of the most talked about and honestly one of the most controversial books out there, Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. So, what is it? Is it a dark, cynical manual for manipulating your way to the top, or is it actually an essential guide for navigating the world we live in? Let's get into it.
But first, let me ask you something. Do you think power is a game? You know, a constant, subtle game that's being played all around us. At work, with friends, maybe even in our own families. A game that's happening whether we decide to play or not. Just keep that question in the back of your mind.
Because back in 1998, Robert Greene basically said, yes, it is a game. And then he published the rulebook. It's this deep dive into historical lessons on how you gain power, how you keep it, and how you defend yourself from other people's power plays. And yeah, it made some waves right away.
To really get why this book is so divisive, we have to first understand what it's actually saying. We've got to look at it on its own terms. So let's start with its core idea, the whole concept of mastering the game of power.
Okay, so the fundamental argument of the book is this. Power isn't good, it isn't evil. It just is. It's a social force, kind of like gravity. Greene's whole point is that if you pretend these rules don't exist, it doesn't make you a better person, it just makes you a pawn for the people who do understand and use them.
So let's look at a couple of these laws to see what we're talking about. The very first one in the book is an absolute classic: never outshine the master. The thinking here is all about dealing with other people's insecurities. According to Greene, the people above you, your bosses, your mentors, they need to feel secure. They need to feel brilliant. So if you make them look good, even when you're the one doing all the heavy lifting, they see you as an ally. But the moment you make them feel insecure by being too good, you suddenly become a threat.
And Greene uses this incredible and kind of terrifying historical example. Nicolas Fouquet was the finance minister for King Louis XIV of France. He threw this absolutely amazing party to honor the king. The only problem? It was too amazing. It made the king's own parties look cheap. A few days later, Fouquet was arrested and thrown in prison for the rest of his life. He outshone the master, and he paid the ultimate price.
All right, let's grab another one, and you can start to see how these ideas build on each other. Law number 3, conceal your intentions. Now we're moving from just managing egos into straight-up strategic misdirection.
This is all about a tactical advantage. If no one knows what you're really trying to do, how can they stop you? They can't. You can use decoys and red herrings to send them down the wrong path, while your real plan is moving along completely unnoticed. It's like creating a fog of war in your daily interactions.
I mean, think about someone like Otto von Bismarck, the guy who basically masterminded the unification of Germany. He would publicly support some minor policy that he didn't actually care about. Why? Because he knew his rivals would automatically fight against anything he proposed. So while they were busy fighting his decoy, they would accidentally end up helping him achieve his real goal, which he never even mentioned. It's pure genius in a very cunning way.
Okay, so that's the playbook as the book presents it. It's strategic, it's ruthless, and it's pretty cold-blooded. But this is where we have to slam on the brakes and look at the other side of the coin. What's the actual human cost of living your life this way?
And this really brings the whole conflict into focus. Look at Law 15, crush your enemy totally. Greene's logic is that if you leave an enemy with even a little bit of hope, they'll just come back for revenge later. But the ethical problem with that is huge, right? This kind of thinking burns every single bridge. It creates a world of constant conflict where forgiveness or reconciliation, they're just not possible. And this gets to the absolute heart of the criticism against this book. The idea that following these laws doesn't actually make you powerful, it traps you. It puts you in this self-made prison of paranoia, where you're constantly looking over your shoulder, seeing enemies everywhere and trusting no one.
And when you lay out the potential consequences side by side like this, the picture gets pretty bleak. The chase for power, at least by this rulebook, seems to just tear down all the things that make life worth living. It destroys trust, so you can't have real connections. It creates constant paranoia. It forces you to be inauthentic. And all of that, well, it breeds resentment from other people and leads to this deep, profound isolation.
And that quote really sums up the whole argument against it. I mean, just imagine for a second, a world where everybody operates like this. It would be a world with no trust, no real teamwork, and absolutely zero genuine human connection. Just a cold, calculating battle for dominance.
So, where does that leave us? On one hand, you have this idea of power as a game you need to master. On the other, you have this vision of power as a prison you build for yourself. This brings us to our final section, the synthesis. Is there maybe a third way to look at all this?
So, the big question. Is this book a user's guide to follow, or is it a warning label on something dangerous? Well, what if it's neither? What if the book isn't a how-to guide for your behavior at all, but a field guide to the behaviors you're going to run into out there in the world?
See, this way of thinking completely reframes the whole book. You're not using the laws for deceit, you're using them for defense. Step 1, you learn to recognize when someone is trying to use these manipulative tactics on you. Step 2, you get way better at understanding what might be motivating the people around you. And step 3, you can actually protect yourself from these kinds of power plays.
And maybe this is the real secret. The true value of this book might not be in using the laws yourself, but in recognizing them when they're being used against you. Knowledge isn't just power to act, it's the power of awareness. Reading this book doesn't mean you have to become a Machiavellian mastermind. It just means you might not fall for one. After all, you can't defend against a move if you don't even see it coming.
And that brings us right back to where we started. This book shines a very bright, very harsh light on the hidden power dynamics that are, for better or worse, part of our world. It shows you the game board, it explains how the pieces move, but it doesn't force your hand. So, the question we want to leave you with is this. Now that you can see the game a little more clearly, how will you choose to play?